And we're underway. And looking long up this left side. Ronaldo holding off David Silva. Ronaldo, is that contact? Yes, it is. Penalty. Penalty for Portugal. Barely 2 minutes on the board. Gianluca Rocchi points to the spot. He is being checked, as are all these match-critical decisions in the VAR room in Moscow against David De Gea, Premier League goalkeeper of the year the last 4 seasons with Manchester United. At this World Cup, after 3.5 minutes, and he does! Will this be his World Cup? Jordi Alba couldn't find the connection with Isco, who was making the run. Nacho, who's in the place of the injured Dani Carvajal. Both Ronaldo's teammates at Real Madrid. And then he's fouled in the middle. Wide for Jordi Alba, now Isco. Okay, showing for it in the middle instead of the cross. Diego Costa's in there, and Iniesta's there as well. David Silva rather came across as he switched to the left-hand side. But Guedes got the start. Good pressure, though, by Portugal to win it away, but it's going to be a foul coming, and a card as well. And Portugal build a counter. Bernardo Silva's touchdown. They've got numbers running forward. This ball's meant for Ronaldo. He's going to get there. Plays back into the middle, though, and a late charging tackle to break it up. That was a long run back for Jordi Alba.
John, Ronaldo's on a different level today, isn't he?
He's on a different level every day. Diego Costa running at it. Pepe got knocked to the face. He goes down. We're playing on right now. Diego Costa still a chance. Diego Costa does it himself. All square as it stands in Sochi.
Well, we're going to look and see if there was a foul in the build-up to this. But take nothing away from Diego Costa, because what a goal. This is a pure individual effort against 2 Portuguese defenders. Left, right, cuts back, and then just smashes it low and hard in the corner. And you see right there is a check from the referee and from video system.
Moving from Chelsea back to Atletico Madrid. Was able to play in the spring for them. Scored some big goals for them as they won the Europa League title. Iniesta for Jordi Alba, knocked away by Pepe, sliding through. Isco hit it off the bar. Did stay out on. A save is made. The flag is up on the near side. I think that's for an offside decision. There is goal line technology. David Silva, Diego Costa, Isco's running in the middle, trying to play there. Comes all the way through. Nacho joining up. And that has been given as a foul. We're struggling to hear the whistle. And a yellow card coming out as well for Bruno Fernandes. Isco picks it up from Jordi Alba. Costa, Iniesta, Diego Costa, Jordi Alba onside, got the cross in. The cross through traffic is just one. Iniesta. That's where it really started to unravel for Portugal. Fernando Santos talked yesterday about trying to end this story of they're not able to win the first game. It was 3 ties in the group stage of the European Championships 2 years ago, and they got through as a 3rd place team. David Silva, heavy touch, got away with it. Isco cutting it back to Jose Fonte, got a shot away. Comfortable stuff for Rui Patricio to make his first save of the night. Long in, Guedes brings it down. He was onside. Ronaldo got himself back onside. It slipped through. A mistake from David De Gea. Ronaldo's 2nd goal, and completely against the run of play, Portugal retake the lead.
What a big mistake here. And watch Ronaldo. He's offside in the build-up to this play, but he's not directly impacting it because Guedes picks it up. Now Ronaldo becomes active and onside, and he smashes it with the left foot.
Working on Joe Moutinho. Trying to play it in for David Silva. Well read. Guerrero to intercept. Great little move as well. Going to begin the sequence. Ramos coming up the back there to win it back. Iniesta. Koke. Iniesta. Diego Costa slipped as he was making his run. Iniesta then was tripped up. Free kick for Spain. I'm going to have you flag for offside if you're going to influence the way Portugal defends this from there. Koke the touch. David Silva playing it in. Body's already flying. Knocked down in front. The tie goal. All that from Diego Costa before the ball was even played. 2 for Costa, 2 for Ronaldo, and we've got a fun 35 minutes in store down here in Sochi. Isco. Able to keep it in play for Jordi Alba. Back from David Silva. Isco weaving his way through. Jordi Alba trying to return it, was knocked away. David Silva getting first in a loose ball. Fakes the cross. Inside for Isco, too far, but it pinged around. Falls to the far side. It's Nacho! Off the bar and in! The injury replacement. The man who gave away a foul for a penalty in the opening minutes. His first career international goal. And what a goal! Now here comes Ronaldo, weaving past one, tripped up by the second. Free kick for Portugal. He wants a yellow card. He's not going to get. And he will stalk his way into the penalty area now. Diego Costa in the middle. Look at the move, in for David Silva. Weaving his way through, support from Jordi Alba. Now his cross into the middle, it was missed, hit wide. Diego Costa looking for his hat trick, couldn't hit the target.
2 a.m. Pacific should be perfect for a few people, just getting in from the bar.
For Quaresma outside of the foot. Sounds like you're directing that comment at specific people.
Well, let's see if Portugal now, John, with 12 minutes to go, can they dig a little bit deeper and find a way?
Ronaldo, Jordi Alba checking over his shoulder. De Gea all the way out, a collision of bodies. Quaresma first in a loose ball, lost his footing as he was trying to cut it back, and it was already blown dead for a handball. Now Gianluca Rocchi, but a man down now for Spain. It was less than 3 minutes apart. 55th minute from Costa, 58th minute. Screamer from Nacho. Off both posts and in. Something like the Ronaldo penalty and the De Gea howler. We barely said Ronaldo's name in the second half. He petulantly throws the ball.
A little Real Madrid Barcelona there.
Jordi Alba. The third and final sub by Fernando Hierro. Silva went to the deck, as did Ronaldo, and a free kick now for Portugal. Right in Cristiano Ronaldo range. So we'll dip inside the last 4 minutes of normal time. And the opening night for them at the World Cup as European champions. David De Gea already let 2 past him tonight. Rafael Guerreiro there is window dressing. Ronaldo through! Cristiano Ronaldo, World Cup hat-trick, and with still 3 minutes to play, it's 3-all. That was Koke there, we'll see for sure in a moment. Ball stayed in play on the far side. Quaresma lifting it in, Ronaldo was trying to get up for it, just got a little bit of a bump. Right as he was starting his jump, might have been a foul in there anyway, actually. 30 minutes, Spain held the lead in the second half, but it finishes 3-all.
What if I told you that one of the most talented squads in world football could be heading straight toward disaster? Not because they lack quality, not because they lack experience, and definitely not because they lack superstars, but because the very thing that should make them unstoppable might actually be their biggest weakness. When people look at Portugal, they see Cristiano Ronaldo, they see Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, Rafael Leao, João Neves, Nuno Mendes, a team packed with world-class talent in almost every position. On paper, this looks like a squad capable of winning any tournament. But football isn't played on paper, and after Portugal's recent performances, a worrying question has started to emerge. Are Portugal actually much weaker than people think? Because beneath the headlines, beneath the famous names, and beneath the possession statistics, there are cracks beginning to show. And if those cracks aren't fixed soon, this golden generation could suffer a painful ending. Let's go deeper. For years, Portugal have been viewed as one of the strongest footballing nations on the planet. The country that once depended almost entirely on Cristiano Ronaldo suddenly started producing elite talent everywhere. Creative midfielders, technical wingers, modern fullbacks, ball-playing defenders. It felt like Portugal had finally built the perfect team around their legendary captain. And that's what makes the current situation so surprising. Because despite all that talent, Portugal often look vulnerable in ways that shouldn't be possible. One of the biggest problems is hidden behind a statistic that usually makes teams look dominant: possession. Portugal love having the ball. In many matches, they'll control 70% or more of possession. At first glance, that sounds impressive. But possession means nothing if it doesn't hurt the opponent, and that's where things become concerning. There are games where Portugal keep the ball for long stretches but create very little. The ball moves from side to side, the midfield circulates possession, the defenders step forward, but the final breakthrough never arrives. Instead of looking dangerous, they look predictable. And when a team becomes predictable, even weaker opponents begin to feel comfortable. That's exactly what makes international football so dangerous. Unlike club football, you don't need to dominate every match to cause an upset. You only need one mistake, one counter-attack, one defensive lapse, and suddenly the favorite is chasing the game. Portugal have shown this vulnerability multiple times. When opponents sit deep and stay organized, Portugal often struggle to create clear chances. The attack becomes slow, the movement becomes static, the spaces disappear, and frustration begins to grow. The irony is that Portugal possess some of the most technically gifted players in the world. Vitinha can dictate tempo. Bruno Fernandes can split defenses with a single pass. Bernardo Silva can manipulate space better than almost anyone. Yet sometimes the collective performance looks far less than the sum of its parts. And that's where another major issue appears: balance. Modern football isn't just about collecting great players. It's about creating connections between them. Every role must complement another. Every movement must create space for someone else. The best teams don't simply have stars, they have chemistry. And there are moments when Portugal seem like a collection of brilliant individuals rather than one synchronized machine. Take the wide areas. Portugal have experimented with different options on the wings. Sometimes the combinations work beautifully. Other times, the attack loses its unpredictability. Instead of stretching defenses, players drift into similar spaces. Instead of creating chaos, they become easier to defend. Against elite opponents, those small details matter enormously. Then there's the transition problem, and this might be the most dangerous issue of all. When Portugal lose possession, they can become surprisingly exposed. This is something casual viewers often miss. Because when a team dominates the ball, people assume they're controlling the game. But football is often decided in the few seconds after possession changes. The best teams react instantly. They recover shape. They close passing lanes. They kill counter-attacks before they begin. Portugal don't always do that. Sometimes the midfield gets bypassed. Sometimes defenders are left isolated. Sometimes opponents find space far too easily. And against world-class attackers, that's a recipe for disaster. What's especially concerning is that weaker teams have already shown signs they can exploit these moments. If underdogs can create opportunities, imagine what elite nations could do. Imagine a knockout match. Imagine 90,000 fans holding their breath. Imagine one defensive transition deciding everything. Those are the moments that end World Cup dreams. And yet, for all the criticism, there is another side to this story. Because Portugal aren't a bad team. Far from it. In fact, that's what makes this discussion so fascinating. The potential is enormous. The talent is undeniable. And there are flashes where everything clicks. Moments where Portugal move the ball with breathtaking speed. Moments where defenders are pulled apart. Moments where opponents simply cannot cope. The question isn't whether Portugal can be great. The question is why they aren't consistently great. And to answer that, we have to talk about the most debated figure in Portuguese football. The player whose presence changes every conversation. The player who continues to divide opinion more than anyone else. Cristiano Ronaldo. Because whether you believe he's the solution or part of the problem, one thing is certain. Portugal's future may depend on finding the answer. And that's where the story gets even more complicated. Cristiano Ronaldo's name carries more weight than almost any footballer in history. 5 Ballon d'Or awards, hundreds of goals, Champions League glory, international records, and a career that has already outlasted multiple generations of players. For over 2 decades, Ronaldo has been Portugal's symbol, the player who turned impossible situations into unforgettable victories, the player who inspired belief when none existed. But football has a cruel rule. No matter how legendary you are, time eventually catches everyone. And that's why the Ronaldo debate has become so intense. Some believe Portugal must continue building around him. Others believe the team must evolve beyond him. The truth, as usual, lies somewhere in the middle. Ronaldo still possesses qualities that few players can match. His movement inside the penalty area remains elite. His mentality is unmatched. His ability to attract defenders creates opportunities for teammates. And perhaps most importantly, finally, opponents still fear him. Fear changes football matches. Defenders make mistakes when they're afraid. Managers alter tactics when they're afraid. Crowds become nervous when they're afraid. Ronaldo still creates that effect. But modern football also demands relentless mobility, constant pressing, continuous movement, endless defensive work. And that's where difficult questions emerge. How do you maximize Ronaldo's strengths while protecting the team's overall balance? That's not an easy challenge, especially in international tournaments where every weakness gets exposed. The manager sits right in the middle of this dilemma because coaching Portugal isn't just about tactics, it's about managing expectations. Every decision gets analyzed, every substitution becomes a national debate, every lineup creates controversy, and when results aren't convincing, the pressure becomes enormous. The biggest concern isn't actually Ronaldo himself. It's that Portugal sometimes rely too heavily on moments instead of systems. Moments can win matches, systems win tournaments. Look at recent international champions. They weren't perfect, but they had clarity. Every player understood their role. Every phase of play had structure. Every transition had purpose. Portugal occasionally look like they are still searching for that identity. Are they a possession team, a counter-attacking team, a pressing team, a team built around creativity, or a team built around individual brilliance? The answer changes depending on the match, and inconsistency can be fatal, especially when knockout football arrives. Because eventually, Portugal will face an opponent that won't be intimidated by the names on the team sheet. An opponent that will press aggressively, attack fearlessly, and punish mistakes ruthlessly. When that moment comes, talent alone won't be enough. The encouraging news is that Portugal have the pieces needed to fix these problems. Their midfield is among the most gifted in international football. Their fullbacks offer athleticism and creativity. Their younger generation continues to improve. Players like Vitinha and João Neves represent the future of Portuguese football. Technically excellent, intelligent, fearless under pressure, they could become the foundation of the next era. And then there are the attacking options. Portugal possess depth that most nations would envy. Different profiles, different skill sets, different solutions. The challenge is finding the right combinations at the right moments. That's why writing Portugal off would be a huge mistake. Championship teams often look vulnerable before they look unstoppable. Many tournament winners experience difficult performances before finding their rhythm. History is full of examples. Teams that struggled early, teams that were criticized, teams that looked flawed, and then suddenly everything clicked. Portugal could still become that story, but time is running out. Because tournaments move fast, mistakes become memories, opportunities disappear, and football rarely gives second chances. That's what makes Portugal one of the most fascinating teams in world football right now. They are not underdogs, they're not favorites, they're something far more interesting. A team balanced between greatness and disappointment. A team with enough talent to beat anyone and enough weaknesses to lose against anyone. That's a dangerous combination for opponents and for Portugal themselves. The next chapter hasn't been written yet. Maybe this generation finally fulfills its enormous potential. Maybe the tactical issues get solved. Maybe the stars find perfect chemistry. Maybe Portugal lifts the trophy everyone believes they can win. Or maybe these warning signs prove impossible to ignore. Because in football, the smallest weaknesses often decide the biggest moments. And right now, Portugal are living on that edge. One step away from brilliance, one step away from heartbreak.